inside his jacket pocket, almost as if he's looking for a revolver. At that point, he thinks, my life's under threat, and he shoots Mr. Hadley.
At Gelsenkirchen, they were taken off the train. Mrs. Prattley was arrested as a spy, and Henry was taken to hospital, mortally wounded. Later that day, August the 4th, Britain declared war on Germany.
Henry Hadley, he's still alive at that point, but he dies at 3:15 a.m. on the morning of the 5th of August, so 3 hours into the Great War.
3 hours into the Great War and he dies, yeah?
That's correct. So sadly, he did become at that moment the first casualty of the Great War.
Henry died 2 weeks before the first British soldier, Private John Parr, was killed on the battlefield. But if he was shot during peacetime and he then dies during the war, surely that could be seen to be murder.
In British eyes, yes, he was murdered. But as far as the Germans were concerned, Lieutenant Nicolai had nothing to answer for in terms of the death of Henry Hadley. He felt that Henry was pulling a gun and therefore he could legitimately shoot him. In fact, Lieutenant Nicolai was promoted. He went from lieutenant to captain. Henry Hadley, well, he was brought to the Protestant cemetery in Gelsenkirchen and buried in a pauper's grave.
With the business of war to deal with, Henry's case dropped down the list of British priorities. It was lost and forgotten until now. Richard certainly makes a compelling argument for Henry's death having been the first British casualty of the Great War. And I'm sure historians will be debating it for a long time to come. But whatever they say, it's sad that Henry died so unnecessarily and was forgotten for so long.
Henry Hadley's story remained untold for decades, and there were many other stories from the First World War which would never have been remembered were it not for the work of intrepid journalists. Veteran war correspondent Frank Gardner looks at how one rebellious journalist laid the foundations for modern war reporting.
Days after World War I broke out, the British government passed a law on the 8th of August 1914 to censor the press. To enforce the law, Lord Kitchener, Secretary of State for War, banned all reporters from the front line. Lord Kitchener reckoned that battlefields were for soldiers and not reporters. He worried that any critical or even accurate reporting could undermine the whole war effort.